love lives here.
Good morning, Pat. Good morning, Vicki and Marty. It's great to have you joining us this morning online as well. Wonderful to see you. And look, we've multiplied as we've been singing. This is great in here too. Loving the changing light coming through the window is what Vicki says. Yes, it's really pretty, especially with the way the wind is blowing. I was noticing it online. It was kind of blurry and just kind of like moving back and forth. And it's like, ooh, kind of looked like waterfalls, at least online it did. And am I just noticing that I'm frozen, or am I frozen? All of a sudden it's like, ooh. So, okay, it must just be me then. There's no surprise. Okay, so good morning. So let's say our focus statement this morning, shall we? It's there on your little pamphlet there, or on side B at the bottom. So what letter are we saying with today? What's that? G, gusto. All right. Gusto, glory, grace, gratitude, gumption. Ooh, gumption. Goodness, greatness. All right, so here we go. Let's say our focus statement together. You ready? We embolden people to live their highest potential through the transformative power of love. Yes, very good. Thank you. Feels good. So here at Centers for Spiritual Living Worldwide, we have been working with the theme this year of timeless wisdom, evolutionary vision. And the monthly theme is breathe in the view. And so what we've been talking about this month is really having that higher perspective, having that seeing life, seeing things from a much higher perspective, a much elevated perspective, because this whole year of evolutionary or timeless wisdom, evolutionary vision has been an upward spiral journey. It's been an upward spiral journey in consciousness, which is what life is anyway, right? It's just that we've been actually focusing a little bit on the actual journey itself of this upward spiraling motion. And so we've reached this point in the year where we are talking about kind of reflecting on the year, seeing what has transpired in the year, see where we started individually, where we may have started collectively as a group of people who gather here at Centers for Spiritual Living, and where we may have started as a nation this year, and where we are currently, and where we've moved over the course of the year, and where we've started perhaps as a global community, and where we stand at this point in time. And so that is what we are looking at here, right? And we have been focusing on this higher ideas, this higher consciousness, and seeing things from a higher perspective of lifting our eyes, if you will, to see beyond or above the realm of effect, above the realm of form, above the realm of appearances, and to see rightly, to see the way Spirit sees, to see the oneness, the wholeness, the unity, the perfection that is life. That is where we've been focused, yes? And last week we talked about seeing the beauty in things, seeing the beauty in life itself, and experiencing that beauty and feeling the grace when we are fully present with ourselves, when we are fully present to what is, when we are present to the isness, that is the allness, that is, simply is, always ising, right? When we are present to that, then we experience this sense of alignment, we experience this sense of bliss, we experience this sense of grace. Yeah? And then this week, we were supposed to be talking about celebrating the triumphant journey. And we will, and we are. But also this week, we had the opportunity, you see, our faith, our philosophy, our tradition, our New Thought movement calls us, each of us, not just people who are licensed to be, but each of us to be a practitioner. Calls us to practice, calls us to bring these principles and apply them in our daily lives and practice them in the real world, yes? That we can't just come and sit, well, I guess we could, but ideally, we're not supposed to just come and sit on a Sunday and look about how cute I am and what I'm wearing and how great the music is, right? And then we go away and we, go have lunch somewhere and then go about our day, right? I mean, we could do that. But really what we are called, because, this faith, this philosophy challenges us to think. It challenges us to challenge our beliefs. It challenges us to actually practice what it is that we affirm to be the truth. Yeah? And so each one here, gathered here in the sanctuary or gathered there online, has made a commitment of some sort to be present here. Because if you just wanted me to tell you what to think, you could go to any other place of worship on Sunday morning, right? What we talk about here is we talk about emboldening people to live their highest potential through the transformative power of love. The only way we can embolden people to live their highest potential is if we are willing to embolden ourselves, roll up our sleeves, and get to work, and to do it ourselves. Because this is a science, right? It's a science, it's a faith, it's a philosophy. It is a way of looking at things logically and doing the practical application. And so without that application piece, there's not much to go on. It all just seems like a great theory without application. So if you're sitting in a science lab and you're like, oh, I think that this does this, okay. But if you don't actually experiment with it and play with it, you'll never know for sure whether this does this. You just have a theory that you haven't tested out. And so we have the opportunity to practice that. Practice what it is that we affirm. Practice what it is. Practice our principles. So on Friday, Kyle Rittenhouse was acquitted of killing 2 men and injuring a third in Kenosha, Wisconsin. The events happened on August 25th, shortly after there was an uprising in Kenosha protesting the police shooting of an unarmed black man 7 times in the back, claiming that he was resisting arrest. Yet when we see the video, that's not what was happening. And so there was an uprising, and rightfully so. So Kyle Rittenhouse decided on the 25th that he would go down into the area where people were protesting, armed with something similar to an AR-15, in a style of perhaps saying that he was there to protect property. He ended up killing 2 men and injuring a third. All on video. There are so many things here to unpack. So many layers, so many nuances to unpack. And what I would like to call us to today is I would like for us to remember where we are in the cycle of this year with trying to see things from a higher perspective. Are you with me with that? Okay. So what we go back to when something like this occurs, both the original incident and now the acquittal, what I go back to, what I like to go to and remind myself of are two things: our declaration of principles and our global vision. Because this declaration of principles, as set out by Ernest Holmes, really provides a guidepost or a guideway. It provides a map, or it provides a path about which to look at things, to see things. As does our global vision, because what is it? It's rooted in timeless wisdom, but it's an evolutionary vision. It's that vision that is calling us forward, individually and collectively. So just a couple things here from the Declaration of Principles. We believe in the individualization of the Spirit in us, and that all people are individualizations of the one Spirit. All people. We believe that heaven is within us and that we experience it to the degree that we become conscious of it. We believe that the ultimate goal of life to be a complete emancipation from all discord of every nature, and that this goal is sure to be attained by all. We believe in the unity of all life, and that the highest God and the innermost God is one God, and we believe that God is personal to all who feel this indwelling presence. So let's pause there for a moment. We believe in the individualization of spirit, and that all people are individualized expressions, or all individualizations of the one Spirit. Is that true? So even people we don't agree with, are they individualized expressions of spirit? Yes. Even people who don't look like us, are they individualized expressions of spirit? Even people who we see doing harm in the world, are they individualized expressions of spirit? Yes. It's not always an easy one, is it? But if it's true, if God is all there is, and the individualization of spirit is in us, and it's in me, it's in you, then it has to be in all of life, all of creation, and every single person, even those people whom I don't agree with, even those people. Those people. Makes it sound like separation. And it's not. There's only the one. We believe that heaven is within us, and we experience it to the degree that we become conscious of it. So when we those people, when we otherize, what we're really doing is we're really saying that somebody is separate from us somehow. That we are, and when we see acts, and we label acts, or we label people as good or bad, or good or evil, what have we done? We've created a duality. We've created a separation. And what is this separation doing? What is this duality doing? What is this belief in good and evil doing? It is clinging to the very thing, the very obstacle that prevents us from experiencing heaven. And what is that thing that helps us, or what is that thing that allows us to experience heaven? our understanding and our experience of the oneness, and that we become conscious of it, that we experience it. The ultimate goal of life is to be a complete emancipation from all discord of every nature, and that all are sure, or that this goal is sure to be attained by all of us. But there is this personal responsibility and this collective consciousness, this social conscience that has to work hand in hand. We believe that the ultimate goal is a complete emancipation from all discord. Well, where do we begin our work? We begin our work where it is most difficult. We begin our work right within to free ourselves, as we talk about at the beginning, to free ourselves and each other from the pain of violence and racism. We do this, we make that declaration every Sunday morning, declaring that we are here to decolonize our minds, to set each other free, to set ourselves and each other free, a complete emancipation from all discord, and complete emancipation from all violence and racism. To set each other free, to set ourselves free. And it's sure to be attained by all as we each step forward. We believe in the unity of all life, that the highest most God and the innermost God is one God. We believe that God is personal to all who feel this indwelling presence. And what happens when we witness these senseless acts of violence? How do they come to be? They come to be out of fear. Fear of the other, fear of separation, fear that somebody is going to take something from me, fear that somebody is going to do something to me. It comes from this reification, it comes from this deification of the individualized self, of the individual ego, of our stuff, of our belongings. And it wants us to fear, it wants us to look and be scared of each other. It wants us to feel like we need to protect, that we need to gather, that we need to guard against something. But my beloveds, there is only one power in the universe. There is only one power, one presence, one power. And it is the belief in two powers. It is the belief in good and evil, it is belief in other that prevents us from experiencing the oneness, the wholeness, from experiencing the heaven within. It is that belief in separation. And beloveds, we have a lot of work to do there. Collectively, individually, there is a lot of work that we can do together when we come together and we shift our perspective, we shift our consciousness. And what we are already aware of here is we're already aware of the truth. We're aware of the truth that there is only one. But we can't just remind ourselves of it when there's an incident like Friday. It's like, oh yeah, right. I need to go back to oneness. And then the rest of the week, or the rest of the month, the rest of the year, we just happily, merrily along, right? It's not like taking an aspirin when you have a headache, or ibuprofen, or Tylenol, whatever your preferred, NSAID pain reliever is, right? It's not like taking an aspirin. It's something that we get to work with. It's something that we get to work on. It is something that we get to practice on a daily basis. Practice communing with the presence. Practice being in the oneness, abiding in the truth. Abiding means that we do it all the time. You don't just live your life this hour only, right? You don't just dwell in your house for 1 hour and that's it. Living is an ongoing practice. Dwelling is an ongoing practice. So if we are living in the truth, if we are abiding in the truth, and we are allowing the truth to abide in us, it means it's a 24-hour job. It means that we practice consistently. We practice daily. We come back to it day after day, time after time, minute after minute, breath after breath. And to be one, to be present in that wholeness. And when we are centered and anchored and grounded and present with the oneness, with the wholeness, then the way we look at things, the way we see life, we are seeing it now from a higher perspective. We are seeing life as it is, rather than as we are. We're seeing the truth for the truth. We're seeing the higher. We're seeing the greater. And as we do this individually, what happens around us, with those around us? We become a point of light. We become a point of love. We become a point of truth. So just think about it right now, the 40 people gathered here and the people gathered online. Each a point of consciousness, each a point of light, each a point of truth. Knowing and affirming and claiming and experiencing oneness with the divine. Knowing and claiming and experiencing and moving freedom forward, moving love forward in a greater way. And so our global vision, as you know, we envision a world that works for all. It's right there on the center banner there. We envision a world that works for all of life, all of creation. That's the overarching vision. And there's a little bit more detail in the longer vision that we have here at Center for Spiritual Living, and I'll share parts of this with you as well. We envision all people, all beings, and all life as expressions of God, just as I was saying a moment ago. We see a world in which each and every person lives in alignment with their highest spiritual principle, emphasizing unity with God and connection with one another. Unity with God. Holy communion, holy conscious union, and with one another, connection with one another, our brothers, our sisters, our siblings, a world in which individually and collectively we are called to a higher state of consciousness and action. Meaning that it's not enough just to have a higher state of consciousness. Not enough just to pray. It also involves action. We have to treat and move our feet. We envision humanity awakening to its spiritual magnificence and discovering the creative power of thought, a world where each and every person discovers their own personal power and their own ability to create an individual life that works within a world that works for all. So it's not to say that we can't have our goodies. It's not to say that we can't have our life. It's not to say that we can't have all the best and wonderful things of our own life. And we can, and it also has to fit in with the highest, best, most collective good of a world that works for all. If I'm doing something that denies you your life, that denies you your freedoms, if I'm doing something there, then it is at an expense, it is at a cost, and it is not a world that works for all. We envision a world in which we live and grow as one global family, just as we sang about at the top of the time together. One global family that respects and honors the interconnectedness of life. A world where this kinship with all life prospers and connects through the guidance of spiritual wisdom and experience. We envision a world where personal responsibility joins with social conscience in every area of the political, corporate, academic, and social sectors. providing sustainable structures to further the emerging global consciousness. So, beloveds, when we look at this week, and we look at the events on Friday, we envision a world where personal responsibility and social conscience joins with social conscience in every area. So we have the opportunity to think about what is ours to do. What is ours to do? What is our personal responsibility? What is ours? What action is mine to take? Yes, pray. Yes, know the truth. But then what action do I take? And perhaps because we don't live in Wisconsin, it might be harder to change the laws in Wisconsin that allow for, and that allow for the justice system to work the way that it was designed in Wisconsin. It might be difficult to do that there. But it's not difficult to do that here. It's not difficult to step forward here, to participate here in the political, corporate, academic, and social sectors of Riverside, or of Riverside County, or San Bernardino County, whichever county you live in, Orange County, right? And so when we were talking earlier or last month and asking who participates in the larger community, and every hand went up, right? You are a beacon of light. You are that power and that presence in the world, in your daily life, in your sphere of influence. So you have the opportunity to bring that consciousness of love, bring that consciousness of oneness right there in your classroom, at City Hall, with foster youth, with your patients, with your clients, with your students, with your RV group. Right there. We get to show up. We get to express. We get to be the power, the presence, the oneness. We get to be that place of truth, of knowing that there is only one. And we envision a worldwide culture in which forgiveness, whether for errors, injustices, or debts, is the norm. And perhaps this is the most challenging of all, where we really have to practice. Forgiveness isn't about saying, I absolve you of wrongdoing. Forgiveness is about freeing ourselves from the weight, the pain that we ourselves may be carrying. It is releasing that. Forgiveness looks like making a difference. Forgiveness looks like perhaps recognizing a wrong and making it right. Forgiveness looks like taking action. Forgiveness looks like refusing to condemn, criticize, or judge. Because as we know with the law, that which we place into the law returns to us multiplied. So how are we using the law? How are we using that thought process? Are we using that thought process to condemn, to criticize, to judge? In which case, what are we really attracting to ourselves when we are using that idea, when we are planting that seed, planting that belief into law? What are we returning? What are we reaping? And so ours is the opportunity to see past the good, to see past what we call evil and what we call good, to see past the condemnation, the criticism, the judgment, and to see the isness. And I'm not going to lie, it's not easy. This message is just as much for me as it is for everybody listening to me today. It's a reminder of who we are called to be, how we are called to show up. If we are to free ourselves from discord of every nature, then we also have to free ourselves of judgment, condemnation. We have to trust and know and return to the realization of oneness, of isness. And in so doing, the realm of effect, the realm of appearances shifts, changes, moves, rises. Because we cannot solve a problem at the same level of consciousness that created it. So we are called to go upstairs, in consciousness. And when we can, remember who we are. And so it is. And so I invite our practitioners to please stand and surround the sanctuary. As we come together in consciousness. So let's go upstairs, as Dr. Homer Johnson says. Let's just go upstairs. Let's take it upstairs. Here we go. So I recognize that there is just one power, the only power that is, just this one power. Call it the universe, call it God, call it the divine, call it spirit, whatever you want to call it, it simply is the one. There is no other opposed to the one. There simply is the one. It is love, it is peace, it is harmony, it is joy, it is wisdom, it is truth with a capital T. There simply is the one. There could never be anything other than the one, for there was only the one in the beginning. The one created all of life, all of creation from within itself as itself. So there could never ever be a power opposed to the one. There is no God that stands opposed to evil. There is no spirit that stands opposed to Satan, because Satan, evil in and of themselves, cannot exist, because there is only the one life. And so I recognize here and now that this one life lives, moves, breathes, and has its being in through it as me, in through it as all of creation. All of life is one with this one. Each is an individualized expression of the one life. Each is an individualized emanation, impartation of the one life that is. It simply is all that there is. And so I speak my word here and now for this beloved community. I see that this beloved community sees from a higher perspective, sees with a deeper understanding, with a deeper knowledge, with a deeper awareness of our spiritual magnificence. And it is this spiritual magnificence that is forever revealing itself through us, as us, out into the larger community, out into the world. It is this spiritual magnificence, this divinity, this holy calling upon our individualized lives to go forth from this place, to ever be the presence and the power of love expressing itself wholly, fully, and completely. in our daily lives, in our daily activities. It is this truth that keeps calling us back, that keeps reminding us to come back to it. There is only one. There is only one. I am. I am. I am. I am. And because I am, there is no other. And so I affirm here and now that we anchor into the I am that simply is. We bring ourselves into conscious union with it here and now. And we see rightly, we see justly. We see. And then we have eyes. We have eyes because we see truly. We have ears because we hear truly. We have hearts because we love truly. Our eyes, our ears, our hearts, our bodies are simply manifestations of the perfection and the wholeness of the one life. And so they are the vessels, the vehicles through which we observe and experience life itself, love itself. And so today is a day of celebration. Today is a day of thanksgiving, a celebration of life itself, a celebration of love itself, a celebration of our individualized expressions, a celebration of our awakening, a celebration of our wholeness, of our unity, of our oneness, a celebration of living heaven here and now. And so, yes, today is a day of celebration, of honoring, of loving, of joyfully expressing spirit, life, love. And I give thanks. I give thanks for all of it, for all of life, in all of its infinitude of expressions. And I simply release this word into the law, knowing that it is so, that it is truth, making itself known, expressing always. And so I gratefully and joyously abide in it, and we let it be, and so it is.
Love.